watch it regardless.
So then I think maybe it could be easy for some people to believe there's this migration happening. Baby boomers want to leave expensive areas and move to Sunbelt states. People want to get out of high density areas, go to low tax areas. So maybe, and now Twitter and Facebook say you don't have to work at the office anymore. You can live wherever you want.
And Google for another year, that was just out today. Yeah.
Right. And so maybe people can believe that great migration is happening. But will the amount of people going out of work be too much to offset that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And even let me just broaden your thesis a little bit there, because it's a great question. And it's one that definitely needs to be answered. Look, there is no doubt the economy is in crisis. The question is, which trend is bigger? Is the trend of the economy being in crisis, or the trend of the mass migration of people and money, both of those things, people and money, which trend is bigger? Well, I don't know the answer, and I've tried to figure it out, and it's very hard to figure out. But I don't know if we need to know the answer to that question. All we need to do is play in our little piece of that, and we know for sure that there's a migration out of high density areas to low density areas. So people would rather live in Indianapolis, Memphis, Little Rock, Atlanta, Ocala, Florida, that's Florida, by the way, Ocala, Jacksonville, any of these markets that we sell properties in, than they would in, New York City, downtown Chicago, and, that is happening. So I don't know about the broader economy. I mean, we are certainly in trouble, but I think
what I would say is that you're right. You can't look at the broad economy. So all of that selling, that potential selling, is going to cause an impact. Yeah. But again, back to supply and demand. When people leave one area, en masse leave a bunch of areas to go to a few areas, the supply and demand is going to offset that. And you have a lot of people losing their jobs, but there's always people going to need a place to live.
Yeah.
And so there's always going to be segments of the market. Maybe the McMansions are soft, but maybe the entry-level homes are always going to have high demand because someone's always going to be an entry-level home. So Absolutely. You have to look at the areas, you have to look at the property types, you have to really dig into the segments, right?
Yes, you do. You have to peel back the onion. People that make these silly generalizations about, oh, it's a terrible time to buy real estate. Well, you know what? They said that in 1978 too. Would you like to have owned some property that you purchased in 1978 or 1988 or 1998 or 2008? You'd be doing great right now. Okay. People always say that stuff because they make silly sweeping generalizations. Yeah. Mark, right before we started today, you said something that was very, very important. You talked about how people you basically were saying that people don't buy a house based on the price, they buy it based on the payment. And because interest rates are so incredibly, insanely low, where they're literally paying us to borrow the money after inflation and taxes, you're getting paid to borrow. Right. Even if you never rent your house out, okay? Even if it's vacant, you're getting paid to borrow after inflation and taxes, yep. Okay? So with that said, we're in an era of truly negative interest rates. You get that debt asset with the house, and if you look at average mortgage payments, or you compare an apples to apples property in terms of what it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and now, yes, the price is higher, I get it, but the payment is lower, okay? Right. So real estate for most people has actually gotten cheaper, okay, yep. Based on a payment. But interestingly, the rent has continued to go up.
Right.
Even though the payment got lower for the landlord.